Okay, fine. So first, let me get the machine is ready. So let me know, guys, what we have done in the last session. What did we do in the last session? Quick, guys. So look into your notes and tell me what did we do. Okay, so we came up to the image tagging. So did you guys practice the image tagging, local and remote? Okay, nice. So let me get the notes here. I think after image tagging, we also worked on the layers concept, right? After image tagging, I think I told you about this command called metadata. Meta, image metadata, right? So if you want to see the coding, we have to try out the image data. See, basically the container image. So let's see the logic. We write the code in a file, that is Docker file. And if the Docker file is written, then we go for build process, Docker build, and container image gets generated. So if you want to see the code, only two chances are there. The first way is either you need to have the access to the Docker file, or second method is you need to fire the inspect command. So if you see the deep understanding of the inspect command, we understood that the container image itself is a collection of layers. Am I right? This is more important, guys, because generally this kind of questions are targeted experienced people. Okay, so what is that layers, why it forms, how it forms, okay, what happens? So entire logic is more interesting for experienced people. Okay, so that's about the collection of the layers and everything. Now let's bother about understanding of Docker file. So this is our next concept, guys. Docker file. So what is Docker file? I hope you guys already know. So what is Docker file, guys? Quick. You guys have to be super quick. So what is Docker file? Yeah. So the story revolves. So this you can say this guy is like an hero or story writer. So this is a place where you write the code. So Docker file helps us to create the Docker images. So in that file, we write the code, but technically we are supposed to say instructions, not a code, guys. We are supposed to say as instructions. And no, it's not like ID. You have to say it's an instructions. You will see shortly, Arun, so we'll understand. So whatever the code that we write, we are not supposed to say as a code. We are supposed to say as an instructions. And whatever the instructions that you learned here, they look like a Linux commands, guys. Those are familiar with very strong Linux background, they'll feel that this Docker stuff is like Linux only, and they'll be very comfortable, frankly. And a Docker file, when you create, does not have any extensions. Like in Jenkins file, also no extensions, guys. But in Ansible, when we write the playbook, we kept a dot. Do you remember what was the file extension of the Docker stuff? Ansible dot, that was YML. But here there are no extensions, so no need to worry. And the logic of entire coding process should be written in sequential order. So these keywords are important. So logic of the programming should be written in sequential order. So once the coding is written, we save the file and we go for execution process. So we have to execute it, and that execution process is called Docker image build or Docker build, guys. I repeat. So what is this Docker build or Docker image build? So this is nothing but the process. There is a command. We need to apply that command. So once it applies the command, it checks each and every line that you have written. And if it is written correctly only, then it will create a hashtag, then it will create a layer. So that which we already told you in the last class. So that process is called Docker build. And the whatever the execution process it follows, we call it as interpretation process, not the compilation. Interpretation process means it checks line by line. And this I already told you, the important point, entire story is interesting here. So this is critical point for you need to know. So during the Docker build process, it checks the each instruction. And if it is written correctly only, then only it converts into a layer after assignment of hashtag or commit ID. So that's about the Docker file, guys. So we'll do an exercise on this. So let's go ahead and do it quickly. So I'll show you one sample how to do it. Okay. 1 second. Let me do little nice formatting quickly. Always heading. This is 18, I guess. Central blue color. Okay. So this is a workflow of the Docker image process, guys. So I'm connecting to the server. Root nmtui. Activate a connection. Back with first name hyphen capital I. So it is 4. So I'll be using this. So let me close all this junk. So it is 192.168.4. Accept root. I came in. Okay. So I got connected, guys. The step number 1 is when you are interested to create some Docker file, please create it like a project folder only. So start with something like an impression that project folder. So what I'll do, mkdir. Okay. mkdir. Then I'll create a project folder. I'll say project execution sample. I created a folder. You can see there is a folder. I'll go into that folder and there is nothing inside of that. Now what I'll do is I'll create a Docker file. Docker file. So we have to say touch D capital. Docker spelling is rest of the things are small and F is also small. It's a single word, guys. D should be capital. Don't split. I repeat, don't split the file name. So D is a capital and F is a small. It's a single word. No extensions. Done. Now open this Docker file and start writing some sample code. Here, my intention is to show you how to execute first. So we never bother about at this point about coding stuff. Only thing is we need to know how to write the execute it. Target is to execute. So here I just pasted a sample code. Just a sample code. I saved this and come out. Are we clear so far? Yeah. So we went into the Docker file, we kept the sample code, we came out, saved the file. Now what is our next step, guys? What did I told you after we save? Anticipate. What is our next step? Anuja, what will be our next step? Arun, Atif, Ranga? Anticipate, guys, you know it. We have to go for execute, or we call it as build process here. Build, Docker build. So what is that command? So the command is here. So this is a command. So Docker image build, and you have to use the options, or you can, this is what. But before you apply the build process, one key decision you have to take. The decision is, if the image, so something like child also. So let's say if the child is born, right? So we want to put him in, let's say, like just a casual example. So we want send him on site for education. On site means foreign countries, guys. Or offshore education means our India only. So we take some casual decisions, right? So based on these casual decisions only, we accordingly progress in the life. Generally, parents. So likewise here also, we have to make a right decision. If the image takes birth, are we going to keep this local, or are we going to keep this in remote? So that decision you need to have a clarity here. So if it is local, then we apply the local tagging process. If it is remote, then we apply the remote tagging process. Are we clear on this? Once you write the code, you have to take the decision, whether it is local or a remote. So I decided to go with a remote. So what I'll do, I have to follow the remote tagging process. Now let's see. Apply the command. Docker image build. Till here it's a command only. Thereafter say hyphen tag. I think you need to use the tag command. Say hyphen tag. Then give the image name, some image name. So image name, apply the tag, guys, whether it is remote or a local. So now let's see, because I decided to go with the remote stuff, then I need to start my ID, Docker Hub ID, /. Then I need to give a name for this image. So I'll say this is 31B Docker underscore sample or 31B build. Okay, 31 build, not lengthy, just a short I kept. Then put a colon, and you can give any tag also here. I'll say this image is 1.0 version. Okay. Then give a space. The last metric is nothing but you have to tell where is your Docker file. Either you can type the entire path where the Docker file is, or simply you can put the dot there. So what happens at the last if you put a dot? So if you have supply the dot to the Docker image command, what happens is it looks for the Docker file in the same folder. So technically we have the Docker file in the same folder only, or you have to type entire path. So I recommend you to put a dot. So it searches for the Docker file. If it is finds, it starts looking into the code and goes for execution. You can see in total, it found 4 lines of code, and it started with the first line. Even if you have multiple files will not have the same name. So in a project folder, you'll have only one Docker file. That's the reason we create a project folder. Got it answer, Prithvi? If there are multiple files, that's okay, but it only looks for Docker file. So step 1, we'll try to analyze this after it has done, guys. So no worries at this point, but in total, it found the 4 lines. First line got executed at the end. Okay, it quickly ran now. Hold on. So let it complete, then we'll try to investigate. So forth. Finally, it is done. So let's start from begin. I got my prompt back. So I'm going to the top, guys, where I can see where it started. I want to see where it. See, here it is. So Docker image build --tag. Then step 1, right? In total, there are 4 lines of code. First one, it started. And once it is finished, it created a hashtag. You see this line. Then second step, it started. That means second line, everything is fine. Then that's the reason it is hashtag. Then third line, it started. It went on. It went on. It finished here, third line. And fourth line, it started. It finished here, right? Now see the fourth line hashtag. So fourth line hashtag is 315219. Okay, just remember this ID, guys. 315219. Okay. Now what you do? Then see the Docker images. So do you see 315? See, this is what we created just now. See, Tumu Vikram 31 build tag is 1.0. This is the image just now we created. See, this number and this number is same. That is what I told you in while the understanding of inspect command. Are we clear, Divya? Nayak, Kavya, Kirti, Shravya, Mayuri, Maunika, Nagreddy. Okay, so this number and that number is same. So it says about created a minute ago and 455 MB. Right? 455 MB. Now, whatever the code, the sample code that we have written, I want to put it on a board, and from you, I want to understand what I'm trying to do. So this is a sample code, guys. Tell me. Now in this entire code, I told you that Docker is all about like A by B formula. Now you have to tell me what is a here and what is a B here. Sample code. These are all sample codes, guys. You can easily understand by applying simple common sense. So we got CentOS image, right? CentOS, that is image or library is nothing but B underlying layer. So this is CentOS. And what application I'm trying to install? Git. That is A. That is Git. You understood now what is A by B now? Easy. So by looking into the code, you should be gauge what is a base and what is an app. So if you're not aware of this Docker stuff, simple formula. If you're planning to install Git, what you'll do? Definitely you'll install CentOS operating system. And roughly, I would say this is 900 MB of memories, 900 MB of space is required for CentOS. Upon the 900 MB, or take it for granted, it is 1 GB, guys. Okay, let's take it 1 GB. Take it for granted 1 GB. Upon 1 GB, you're going to install the Git. So in total, it is definitely 1 GB plus if it is not a Docker concept. But since you applied the Docker concept, it is hardly 455 MB. Did we reduce our utilizations and unnecessary stuff? That is what the concept of Docker is. So entire containerization, the concept itself is to make sure that we have the app working upon its required dependency only. So let's create a container and see whether really this whatever image we created Git is working or not. What we'll do? So how do you create a container now? Give me the command quickly from your knowledge so far, whatever you learned. What is a command to create a container? So we'll say Docker run, right? -it. And this is an image. And to this, I want to talk with bin bash. We went into container. Quickly, I want to check whether Verse git is there or not. It is there. Just a sample to make you understand that how the applications we get it done. So type exit, we came out. Are we clear on this execution process, guys? Confirm? For one. So you need to know, at this point, you have to focus on how to execute, how to create the image. Now, the next level of understanding is you need to know how to push this onto the Docker Hub account. How do you push this, guys? Image is working. We verified. I want to have a copy of this image to go and sit in my account. What I should do? So I'll fire Docker login. I'll enter my ID. I'll enter my password. Again, I forgot password or what? One. Okay, one more try. Otherwise, I will check my password. Okay, login succeeded. So then I need to apply Docker image push. Now in the push, we know that we are not supposed to use the image ID at all. So this is the only command in Docker where you are not supposed to use at all the ID. So you can say this guy is banned with ID. So we don't use ID for this fellow. So we just copy the image name and put it here and press enter. So this image is going and sitting in my account now. Okay, so it seems to be done. We'll go on to the Docker Hub account. Log in into the Docker Hub. Click on sign in. Put the ID. Put the password. And check if it has got uploaded here. So we can see that it has got uploaded just now a minute ago. So exactly this is the image which we just done. Now let's go here. So once we verified, then we'll happily we can say Docker logout. Done. So that is the exact thing, guys. So this is all about your image creation process. Now the next level of understanding is you need to know how to work with these instructions, because in this code, if you see this, whatever I written 4 lines of code, this part This is called instructions. If you see them, can I say that it looks like a format of capital X and small y? Do you agree with this format? You see, this is written in a capital and this part is small. Again, this is written in capital and this part is small. Again, this is written in capital, this small is. This is written in capital, this is small. Now the question comes is, this is in the format of capital X and Y. Here, please write in your notes. So I will put this like format of like mathematics. Capital X is nothing but your instruction. That is what. So that means instruction always is written in caps. That's the logic. Clear on this part? So the instruction is always written in the caps. Instruction will never write in small case. The instructions are written in caps only. Now the Y, whatever I was talking, okay. So the Y part is called value or property or parameter or attribute. Anything you can call. So this is for your understanding also. Generally, people call this as, according to the Docker people, you have to say that's a parameter. So Y refers to the parameter, X refers to the instruction. So you have to pass the parameter to the instruction. So that's the logic. So these parameters are written in a small case. And there are some use cases where we'll write also in caps. So it's up to us. So whether you write in small case or capital case. So that is a logic. Are we clear on this? So definitely the instruction is caps only, no exception of small case, but Y value depends on our use case. For example, you just say maintainer, I written vkt@gmail.com. I'm capable of writing like this also, vkt@gmail.com. We can also write like this. There's nothing wrong because parameter can be written in small case or can be written in caps. But you should know the logic, what happens if I write in small case and what happens if I write in caps. Because the parameters always use case only. So based on that, it will work. So that is what. Now coming to the here instructions, this is what you need to know. So the instructions. So we'll call this as Docker instructions. So this is all about the Docker instructions, guys. So let's see. Now all the instructions are available at this place, guys. So all the instructions are available this place. This is a reference web link. So this is a reference web link, guys. All the instructions, entire instructions list is given here. So we can say just click on this and it will open up the site. Now, frankly to say, Docker is one of the best documentations award you can give. So from the DevOps tools I'm talking, from the DevOps tool perspective, this is a best tool which has the instructions which are, or I can say document is super clear. Even without a teacher or a trainer, you can learn self. So once you open up this document, you need to focus on right hand side, to my knowledge, right hand side here. So on the right hand side, you have the stuff here. You can see format. You have all the, see what is the use of run from, okay, and CMD, label, maintainer, expose, env, add, so copy. So there are different kinds of instructions are there. So now the question comes is little more in depth. So once you saw the data there, so where are the instructions, guys? Let me take the screenshot so that you can be aware. So I'm talking about this part. So once you open up this site, I was talking about this part. Left hand side you need to go. Okay. Now, if you look into the table, what happens is this is our classification, guys. This is not Docker classification. But in their documentation, they'll say these are instructions which are executable now. So for our convenience perspective, we'll try to study the Docker's instructions in under two headings. One is executable and another one is non-executable instructions. Executable instructions and non-executable. So based on functionality. Functionality is a criteria, what it can do and what it cannot do. So now what is the use of executable instructions? So basically executable instructions which are critical, you can say. These are critical guys, which really do some action in your Docker stuff. So most of the Docker activities, whatever you're expecting, this happens because of executable instructions. Example, run, cmd, add, copy, from. Just an example. Now, there is some logic here why based on functionality I classified like this. So let me open up this. Please write it in your books only, guys. So I told you, right? So X and Y. So X is instruction, we know it. And Y is parameter or property, whatever it is. Now, if you want to say that it is an executable, how you will define? So in executable instruction, what happens is the X, whatever X and Y that you write, this instruction should be written correctly. First of all, the agenda is you should write correctly. That's the first criteria. We write correctly. That means X value will be written correctly, and Y also you'll write correctly. So during the build process, what happens is it checks if both X and Y are written correctly only, then only it will create the hashtag. Understood? Then only it will create the layer. Have you understood this point, guys? So X and Y both are validated. If both are written correctly only, then only the hashtag will be created. Then after hashtag, layer gets generated. But if it is non-executable, example is this instruction. In the sample piece of code just you saw, from is an executable, run is also executable, cmd is also executable, but maintainer is non-executable. So how come? Why I'm calling this as non-executable? The reason is here also same story. We have X and Y format. Here what happens is X should be written correctly. It should be written correctly, guys. It checks whether you have written correctly or not. It also checks Y, but whether you write it properly or you write it incorrectly. I kept it like true or false to make you understand. So whether you write the Y correctly or you write incorrectly does not matter. Even if you fill the film story also, it will take it. Okay. That means Y is non-technical there. Even if you write some junk value also, it will take it. So under the circumstances, till it will create a hashtag, then it will create the layer. Now, based on this understanding, can I say that executable instruction creates a layer only if X and Y are right? Do you agree with my statement? You understood the question, guys? Please respond. Can I say that executable instruction is something where X value and Y value both should be written correctly, logically correct. Then, okay, non-executable, where X should be defined correctly, Y, even if you write it right or wrong, it's okay, but still it will create a layer. So in this example, instead of writing like this, I can also say hello India, hello underscore India. It will take it. Or you can feed movie name also, Pushpa 2. When is Pushpa 2, guys? When is a Pushpa 2? I don't know. Any news about it? 2024. Long time. Really? Okay. You're waiting for that movie. Nice. So that is the reason. That is the reason it is called non-executable, and this is called executable. So please take down this into your book. So if I talk very straight, guys, in executable, both have to be right. Okay. In non-executable, X has to be right. That's it. Is it done? So that is what about executable and non-executable. Okay. Nice. So now let's move on. Now this is a quick example. Now you need to keep in one mind that going forward, okay, going forward. So in total, there are 18 to 19 instructions are there, guys. Roughly as on today, there are 18 are there. So among the 18 instructions, if you take it, that means in entire Docker, we are going to use only 18 to generate our entire logic. So 18 instructions are given. Out of this 18, almost 90% of the instructions are executable type. Please write this also. In total, there are only 18 instructions are there, guys. Using that 18 only, we'll generate our logic. Now, 90% of them are executable type, hardly 10% are non-executable. But going forward, maybe in a couple of years, already they started. So going forward, so what happens is, they have a plan. Docker has a plan to remove non-executable. They want to remove all non-executable type, so that entirely 100% all the instructions should be executable type. So that is the reason you'll see that here in the reference book, they said, you can see this value, guys, this value here. Maintainer, it says depreciated. You can see this. Maintainer is depreciated. They already started, they disclaimed in their documentation saying that going forward, they want to make 100% all the instructions are executable type one. So going forward, you will not find non-executable. Everything will be executable. So keep that in mind, guys. The next, moving on further. Now let's go ahead and study the each instruction. Now, interestingly, out of currently 18 instructions are there, 2 or 3 are related to the hardware stuff. So we don't touch them also. Never in your real time also, we don't come across such use cases. We are not worried. And rest, let's say, if you remove 3 from the 18, roughly, let's say 15. Out of this 15 instructions, on an average, you'll use 7 to 8 very regularly, guys. Very regularly. 7 to 8 instructions are there. You'll use them regularly. You can't escape, because that is the demand of those instructions. We can't escape. So 80% of your Docker file, most of Docker files, if you observe, these 7 to 8 instructions which are very regularly used. And 99% or 100% chances are there that you'll face the questions on them only, which are regularly in use. Example which are regularly in use is this: from, run, right? So these are all very regular, okay, which you cannot take it light, because in every Docker file you'll see these being used. Now let's start with understanding the instruction. So the first one is from instruction, guys. First one is from instruction. Got it? So let's see from. So the syntax looks like this: from, and put the image name from the Docker. So why this is used? The purpose of the from instruction is, if you find any library, or if you find any dependency, or if you find any image which is usable for your use case from the Docker Hub, if you find anything in the Docker Hub which is you want to use, then you want to download this onto your Docker host server or the machine, then you have to use from. Or in your Docker file, if you want to consume that image, then you have to use from. So in this sample example, just I will highlight this with red color. Are we clear on this example? Confirm, guys. So if you want to consume, right? Okay. Bhagat, clear? Rahul, Rohini, Sai, Samir, Shashul, Sravanti, Susmita. Okay, nice. The next instruction is run. Second one is run. So keep in mind, what happens is when you find any library that you want to use it in your image coding, definitely from will be there. Okay. So that is super clear on it. The next is run. So what is this run instruction? So if you do a comparative study, in Ansible, we used something called modules, correct? We used modules. So every module used to have some property called action property, which was very important property. Likewise here, anything that you want to get it done in the Dockers upon the image, you have to use run instruction. For example, just an example case. I'll say from, I want CentOS. Okay, you got this CentOS image. When you're writing the Docker file, you have to imagine a lot, guys. Imagination power, based on imagination of thoughts only, we write the Docker file. So we'll say we get the image. Upon this image, what I should do? So let's say I want to install, imagine Apache Web Server. So if you're logged in, guys, tell me just simple example. If you're logged in directly into the CentOS image, okay. If you logged in directly into the CentOS image, so if you're planning to install the, let's say, Apache, what command will you use? What command will you use? So let's say, no. I'm just telling you, let's imagine you guys have logged into the CentOS operating system directly. I'm not talking about Docker. Just imagine a use case, you logged in directly into a Linux server, which is CentOS, and your target is to install an application called HTTPD. Now you guys tell me, how do you install? That's the only question. Or if it is Ubuntu, also tell me, either Ubuntu or CentOS. how do you install? So can I say it is yum install httpd if it is a CentOS, right? And if it is Ubuntu, yeah, if it is Ubuntu, I guess I'll say apt-get install something like httpd. If it is Ubuntu, make sense? You're understanding, guys, what I'm talking? So if it is CentOS, we'll try the first one. If it is Ubuntu, we'll do this thing. So now imagine the same use case. Since I got the CentOS with me, I am planning to install HTTPD. Then whatever you want to do activities upon the image, you have to use an instruction called run. That's it. Whatever you feed it to the run, it will execute at the time of image creation process. I repeat, whatever you give it to the run instruction, it's like a kingmaker here, guys. Run is super kingmaker. So using run, a lot of activities are possible. So we'll say run, and I want this. So I want yum install httpd and automation -y. -y, it will not wait, it will install. So imagining, okay, we got the image and we're trying to install. So that's the use of run. Okay. Now you tell me, if I'm planning to create a directory called India, what I should write there? How do I write? Just an example, guys. I want to create a directory called India. How I should write that? Can I write run mkdir India? That's it. You understood? So where this India will create, guys? That's the question. Is it going to create on your server, or is it going to create India in the CentOS image? What you're about to create? Is it on your server, or is it in the CentOS image? In the image. So that is the role of the run. No, don't wrong answer, Rajat. It is not the server. It is going to create the India folder inside of the image. Okay, Docker image. So that's the role of your run. Clear? Okay, now in this, can I say from is an X and the CentOS is Y? Likewise, this is X and these are all Y's, and this is X and these are all Y's, right? So that's the use of run instruction. So keep in mind, run gets executed at the time of image build process. This is one of the popularly asked question. Run gets executed at the time of image build process. Okay, right. And this is the one which will critically bind an application inside of an image. So most in use cases we'll use this. Now to write the run instruction, there are two ways out there. Okay, what you just saw, this is method one. What you just written, this is method one. Okay, there are two ways to write it. One is formal way, one is informal way. Let's say when you're going to a party, you dress differently, and when you go to the office, you dress differently. So formal and informal. Likewise, here also we have formal and informal. What I written, these are all informal. That means party. So how do I convert this party style candidate into a formal? So the method is run. See, the syntax is here. See, run. Okay. Then choose the controller shell and -c, type the command. So here, first you need to choose the terminal. In which terminal I want to execute this, because the image will operate either in sh terminal or a bash terminal. So I'll say I want to execute this under bin bash and -c. What command you want to execute? So single quotes mkdir India. This is how I converted this informal guy to the formal style. So this guy, same. if I want to convert this guy into formal, I'll say run. I can choose terminal. I can say bin sh also, no problem. -c. -c means command. Hyphen single quotes yum install httpd -y. Close this. Got it? So which style you like it, guys? Is it formal or informal? What looks good? Is it formal or informal, guys? For easiness, it is informal only. Quickly, you can get your things done. But technically, in the real time, you'll see all formal methodologies. So that means if I were ask you to write in a real time production style, this is I recommend. Most of your Docker files will follow the formal style. So you need to know how to write both. Okay. Informal way and formal way also. Are we clear on this? Confirm, please take down this example into your book. Is it done? Okay. So the next one is CMD. Okay. The third one is CMD. So this is one more, you can say, second hero in the picture. So CMD, third one is CMD. So let me convert this into the title. And this is, yep, CMD. So third one is CMD, guys. So this is executed at the time of container creation process. Okay, earlier example, I think we highlighted. Let's take it. Forgot to put it here. So okay, the same piece of code. Here, if this is a case, then this is should be written in what you'll write. So bin bash -c single quote. Yeah. Now the same example, look at here, guys. So it is executed at the time of container creation process. Now you see this part. Water, I put it in red color. Now you have to answer me a question. So does it make sense to start a service at the time of image creation process, or does it make sense to start the services of an application at the time of container creation process? What is a good choice? So definitely we came across some things in our life. It's very common. So we know that, okay, this has to be done at that point. We don't do now like this, right? Yep. So exactly when you're developing the logic of your thought process, guys, these are all the comes from the task only. So whatever the question is given to you, whatever the work is given to you, we'll try to investigate on it, or we try to look into it, and we'll try to analyze, okay, what needs to be done first. So we'll think in the image, this should be there. And again, there will be some activities where we have to process it after the container becomes live. Any activity that you feel that has to get processed at the time of container creation process, please feed that to the CMD. Okay. Any activity that you feel that has to happen at the time of image creation process. See, the both are different. Image creation, run. Container creation, CMD. So both are like brothers. Hello, brothers. But one is at image, another at container. Are we clear on this example? Confirm. Okay, now keep in mind, guys, this is very important question. So one of the very popular questions on the top category, difference between a run and CMD instructions in Docker. This is usually asked interview question. So just be careful with this question. This is one of the very frequently asked. Got it? Yeah, just be aware. So I recommend you to spend some time, watch on any video on CMD and run, because I told you what is the use of this. But technically, if you have some time, just try to spend more investigation. The next instruction is expose. What is this expose candidate? Okay. So if the application you're starting, same example, guys, take it for granted. This, what you can say, the Jenkins. So tell me, Jenkins starts on which port number, guys? What is the port number of the Jenkins? What is the port number of Jenkins? Default port number. That is what I fed. That's it. So in the same example, so if you want to expose the ports of application, you are supposed to use the expose instruction. So if you want to work with the ports, or if you want to enable or disable the ports of an application, in the coding itself, you have to talk about the expose there. Got it? So whatever the port number, please feed it to the expose. So the same example makes sense for us here. Also, so instead of this, we'll convert that to the right. So this is what we are talking about. So now one more use case, guys. So this is example one. Let's say you want to start the applications, make it available on two different port numbers. Then how do you write it? How do you write it, guys? Any idea? Please take down this into your notes. If you're planning to start see, there are some use cases in the real time you'll get where the application have to work on two port numbers. Then under that circumstances, give a space and type some number. Just an example I'm telling. So usually we make a mistake of putting a comma, but don't put a comma here. Just give a space and type 8090 k space 80100. So take down this example, guys. So you can accommodate multiple port numbers, separated them by spaces. You can also write like that. You can also write like this also, guys. Maybe you will see some people also write like this. I see some people they use 8090, 80100. Both are same, but he's just using the instruction again and writing it. Whether you write in this style or in this style, it's the same. So this example also makes you to help you understand that an instruction can also be used multiple times, correct, in the coding. So some people might have a doubt, guys, that how many times can I use an instruction? Whenever need comes, please try to use the instruction again if it is required. For example, I have written a run here. Maybe if time comes or logic demands, I'll also write the run here also. In the same coding, I'll write something. So it depends on the demand. So technically, there is no restriction on number of use case of an instruction in a Docker file. You can use a number of times. There is no limit. Okay, are we clear on this? Okay, so fifth one. So let's say fifth. Why this guy is underlined? Why I went heading? Apply title. I think I'm doing this one correct. Okay, next one is ENV. Very interesting one. So this is one of the questions normally experienced people will face in the interview. And usually you'll have this trouble also. So you'll have some environment stuff to be configured or any application paths you need to configure. We have to use env soon. So this will see guys, the purpose of this instruction is this will help you to set up the environment paths of application inside of an image for an application, or when the application for an image, or you can say container. So for example, imagine just an example guys, just imagine I have CentOS installed. Upon the CentOS, we know that we already worked with the Java and Maven stuff when we were working with Jenkins, right? So Java underscore home value is so and so. If this was the Java underscore home value is so and so, if I want to write this in a Docker style, how do you write it? So these are syntax one. You just use env word and just write exactly the same value, nothing else. If this was what you are planning to write, then apply simply env. This is a method one. Method two is separate them. See, env key and value. So in this example, this is called key and this is value. So this is how I am writing. So there is a difference here, right? So I've written env, I've written Java underscore home. There is a space, or there is a space here, and then write this way. But in this case, we have to use equal to. That's the reason here it is there is a equal to. So these are examples. But at the time of okay, this we'll see later. So this is the declaration of env in the image case. In the image itself, we want to set up the what you can say the path of the applications. Then you have to use env instruction case. And the next one is add, and thereafter we need to work with copy entry point. So we'll do this tomorrow. Guys. We'll stop it here. So tomorrow we'll work on this. 3 to 4 instructions are there more. And after this is done, we'll do a project. Okay, we'll do the project and we'll try to understand. We'll try to use all these instructions what you're going to learn in that project. Ample testing. So let me go ahead and update the notes. Have you understood, guys? Please confirm whatever I told you today. Is it in your brain? Is it all clear or clear? You know, a lady sometime back, 3 or 4 years back, she has to just change the environment path of an application. The path sitting on the image has to be just to change it. And she's not my student actually. She's from US and she was just looking for job support. You know, that looked very funny. One line change, the people were troubling her with 30-40,000. So she was looking for some job support and nobody were ready to help. So that was one thing I remember. So when you do practice, make sure that you keep everything in your brain, guys. Or at least have an idea where to change. This will help you to manage your work. So I'll be sharing the sample resumes after your shell scripting, guys. Because time is there, still you need to 1 week more. Then we'll start sharing the samples. We'll also sit on the sample, I mean to say resume session also. We have a resume session at the last. This is not the time to upload the resume, guys. So please hold on for more 10 days. You'll be eligible to upload the resumes. Because Docker and Kubernetes has to go and sit in your resume. That is the reason. We are in Docker, next is our Kubernetes and shell scripting also. Okay, so I have updated the note case. So that's all for the day. Yeah, happy Holi, happy Holi. Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot, guys. Chalo. See you and catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.